What if there existed something within you that was so beautiful, so sacred, so pure, so full of love, that it lays to waste every fear, all agony, and everything you worry about? Well, it does exist. That state of being is there presently within you, within me, and within everybody. And it is the purpose of this channel, Awakening with Spirituality, to discuss it and help the viewers bring it into light, bring it into reality. My name is Jay Shah, and this is Awakening with Spirituality. To start, I'd like to talk a little bit about my own awakening. In May 2012, I was in the summer between my sophomore and junior year of college, and I'd lived my life up till that point, immersed in what I was doing, immersed in securing a life for myself for the future, immersed in succeeding, worried that if I didn't, that my life would be over, immersed in essentially what my conditioning, my culture, my family, my everything around me taught me was true and correct. In many ways, they weren't wrong, but in many ways, that path didn't fit me. And I didn't quite realize it until I realized that I was very unhappy one day. In May 2012, I told myself that I want to have a great life. I want to go and explore and travel everywhere, do amazing things, and have a very, very vibrant and vivacious and positive life. The issue with that, well, the intentions were good. The issue was that it was very conditional. It was based upon the circumstances around me being positive. It was based as well on a very narrow set of preferences, which are subject to up and down, subject to success and failure. In June 2012, though I was so positive the month before, I fell into a type of depression. I was working at a sales job, and for some reason I couldn't really speak, which is strange. I would stutter, or I would start, and my sentence I wouldn't finish the sentence. It was something like that. I don't know exactly what, and I don't know why. I asked my manager if I could be transferred to another position where I could just fill out papers, and he gave it to me. So it worked out for me well. And that month I was in a depression. And then one of my friends stopped by and visited me, and he gave me a copy of The Power of Now by Eckhart Tolle. Eckhart talks about this amazing internal peace that exists indwelling within every human. It's not a concept that I've been exposed to up till that point. And he talked about total and irrefutable bliss that exists when immersed completely within the present. Not the present seen through the conditioning of the past. Not the present when seen as a means, as an end to the future, but in the true, total, and absolute presence, when one's consciousness merges with that, when it sees itself, when you see yourself as consciousness rather than as this character running through the world, subject to the conditions of the world, subject to birth and death, subject to happiness and sorrow, subject to ups and downs, gains and losses. When you see yourself as total life, which is unconditioned, living within a conditioned reality, therein lies the peace. My path has changed substantially since, and I'd say that the things that were true within me when I was a child, the truer parts of me before I was conditioned into fear and conditioned into thinking I needed to be a business person or engage in commercial pursuits as my life pursuit, the truer parts of me have been able to come to light. I've spent some time as an actor. I've spent some time as a writer. I've spent some time as a tennis player and a tennis coach. It's been an unconventional path, but it's been a true path for me. And what's more important than the specific actions of the path is the arising degree of consciousness with which I'm engaging in these endeavors. It's understanding of these concepts, as well as direct experience of feeling myself as that total life, has tremendously reduced my anxieties. It has tremendously given me power to be compassionate and empathetic to people. It's given me faith in myself that is far divorced from the conditions of life, far divorced from needing to be bound up in the need to succeed. It's given me faith that no matter what happens in my life, that I'll be okay. It's opened me up to understanding perspectives of others that I wouldn't have been able to before, because I would have been too in my own head. It's opened me up to being able to change as the moment has required. Mostly for the better, sometimes for the worst, but I've learned through the process. And it's given me the insight to make a channel like this to talk about these topics so that other people too may engage in beautiful experiences of their own, which will be personal to them as per their own life, as per their own destiny. At this point in time, we live in a very technologically advanced society. And when I was younger, I was under the impression that everything in the world was getting better, that people were becoming more open-minded, that people were becoming more tolerant, people were becoming happier and nicer, and that it was just a matter of time before it became total and complete. It could have, for whatever reason, I thought that way then. Maybe it was true then, maybe it was my perspective then, but as I see it now, I don't see it that way. I don't see that the evolution of humanity is at present progressing in that direction. I see people, especially in the technological era, with phones, with echo chamber news sources and media feeds and self-chosen, self-agreeing friend circles. I see people becoming more and more entrenched in their own ideologies, and more, or less and less rather, willing to tolerate other perspectives. And of course, as well, more willing to engage in hate, more willing to engage in meanness, less willing to listen. Listening is not a trait that you need to do very much if you have a phone, because you can always just be occupied in something of your own self-selection. So that aside, it's not just phones, it's everything, right? Whereas people would shame each other in the past in the public square, they can do it digitally now on the global sphere. Where people thousands of years ago would kill each other with sticks and rocks, it progressed to guns, and now it's bombs. I do this channel. I feel a satisfaction in it. I feel a calling to it. I do this to help the world that has given me so much. I do this as one person, one form of a human with perishable body, perishable everything, living a finite, temporary existence, to grant into the world things that I hope, will change the course of people's lives for the better, so that things can function better, so that we can live in a world that's more loving, more peaceful, more civil, more harmonious. Growing up in America, in New Jersey and in Florida, I always lived in peacetime. Though there were wars abroad, it was largely a peacetime. And the effects of that are great. You need that to live. You need that for trade. You need peace for the growth of the nurturing and growth of a person. And many people don't have that. And a lot of it is due to mind domination by the ego, by ignorance, by many forces that can be handled internally, provided people become open to their own divine nature. When people realize how powerful they really are, how powerful the life within them that is them is, and how much love they can live their life with. So, with all that being said, please join me as we take this journey together, living on Earth. If you're watching this now or at some point in the future, if you're watching this in the 2020s or some point in the future, let's take the journey together to make the world a better place through exploring our own selves, examining our own attitudes, seeing how we treat others, and most importantly, developing our own consciousness. What will come to be in the years following, no one can tell. But I think that we can make it much better. And we do it not through focusing on the world and on our minds, but we do it by focusing on cultivating our own consciousness, on realizing how strong and how powerful we are individually. And from there, carrying that energy, carrying that character, and allowing it to transform everything we do. I hope, I've set a goal. This is completely, it could be a complete fiction, but I set a goal that by 2100, 80 years from now, the world will be free of war, it'll be free of poverty, it'll be free of hunger. I don't know if that's possible. Who knows? 80 years is a long time. Could happen. It's an external goal. It's not exactly directly relevant to the cultivation of consciousness, but it is something that I think we can work together towards as well. That aside, let's take the journey together into a new and better world, both outside and in.